You're watching the Battered Fans Network.
In Battered Hero.
En español.
Chris? Whoa, blast from the past. Let's start that over. Chris, the Herons are back. Welcome everybody to episode number 241 of the Battered Herons podcast. I am your host, Daniel Granada, and alongside me, as always, Mr. KBD. How are you doing, sir?
You mentioned wrestling earlier. You ready for a slobber knocker?
I am. And for those wrestling fans out there, RIP to Sid Vicious. Unfortunately, passed away today.
Yeah.
Psycho Sid. I used to love his entrance music, and then in the video it just showed his eyes. Really intense dude. So RIP Psycho Sid. Yes, I am ready for a slobber knocker. We're gonna have Inter Miami show Branton Griffin and Mike Longan joining us. I constantly, I'm just, in all honesty, I talk a lot of shit to them. We have a group chat where I talk a lot of shit to them. And as soon as they get done with one of their shows, I always watch it. And then I go on to Twitter and then I just start insulting them over and over again. And then we decided that we would eventually have to do this on our show. So today is the day we are going to do this. And you know, we're going to have some fun with it. But before we do, one thing that I did want to bring up real quick. I had been talking about it. People had been asking if it was going to happen. And we finally finished creating a Yannick Bright shirt. Okay, so if you would like a Yannick Bright shirt, here it is. Yannick Bright. 70% of the world is covered by water. The rest is covered by Yannick Bright. That shirt is up on batteredfans.com. So if anybody is looking to support Yannick Bright or the Battered family, there it is. I put the link in the chat. So I just want to make sure I put that out there because I know I had said that for like the last 3 weeks, but it took us a while to put that together. So, Chris, any more housekeeping before we get started?
Not that I could think of. Let's just get right to it.
All right. So, without further ado, from the Inter Miami show, well, first I'll bring on my favorite of the two, Mr. Branton Griffin, Mr. Part of the Battered Network, because part of the Battered Marlins fans, possibly. We'll talk about some other stuff later on. What's going on, Branton?
Nothing much, man. Thank you guys for having us on. Glad to be here. Glad to talk Inter Miami. Glad to be on during good times when we're winning. And what do we have to do to get Chris added to our group chat?
But Chris is such.
I don't know. Danny hates me.
I like to talk shit to Chris. Like he's not gonna back me up. He'll go against me and join you.
I go against Mike.
Yeah, all right. You're right.
To be fair, most of the time it's just me sitting in a corner like my two dads are fighting.
and Stancy, this is a great point. I apologize. We do need to. I'll put it into woman sizes. Actually, by tonight I'll have that. I don't know why I didn't realize that. I usually just throw out the men's sizes and I forget about the women's sizes. That's completely my fault, an oversight.
Danny, Stancy's saying that I would just bully you all. I don't think so. I'm a nice guy.
Yeah. You are a bully though.
Just shut up. You don't know anything.
All right. Okay, there you go. All right, and then my favorite antagonist, Mr. Mike Longan. How you doing, sir?
I am happy to finally be the villain. I'm on the show as the villain, but I came in peace. I am rocking some Battered Fans merch. I mean, you stole it from me after you saw my Believe flag and you made your own thing. So if you can't beat him, join him. So I appreciate that.
I stole it from Ted Lasso, but yeah, sure.
Ted's was yellow. Ours was the first pink one.
Do you really think that you are the first person that invented
he's right there,
changing
Danny.
the color? You think you invented changing the color of the Believe?
I mean, Chris is saying I'm right. So I think the referee went with me.
When did your flag debut? Like, when did you make that?
Beginning of last season.
Okay.
We had it all last season.
I wore that shirt in 2022. So, and I have the picture to prove it. So there you go.
I'd like to see some photographic evidence.
And
then I'm gonna say it's AI generated.
Oh, okay, got it. All right. So now I think that you might have stolen it from us. All right. So and by the way, you said you're the villain. I have a feeling that most people in the chat are going to agree with you, but that's neither here nor there.
Well, I got Mike V. Mike V's here. I've already seen him in the chat, so I know I at least got one guy on my side
for sure. And Mez always says that I'm hating. I don't, but I never know what he's talking about. But that's his constant comment is I'm hating.
Haters never know when they're hating.
Just keep it moving.
All right. So here we go. Tata. You guys on your show, you guys love to kill Tata. and I disagree with you guys a lot. The issue here being, what the hell, my fault. But the issue here being that I've talked to you guys why I think that this is difficult. This is difficult for me because I feel like when I defend Tata, people assume that I'm a Tata lover. Let's be very straight. I see a lot of flaws in Tata. I do. I don't think he's great, but I don't think he's as bad as you guys like to claim. So, Mike and Brett, I give the floor to you guys. What is wrong with Tata, and why do you feel it should be Tata out when we don't have any better options?
So before Mike goes,
Whoa.
because Mike's going to take 20 minutes here, I'd just like to say that I find it very hard to hate on Tata given the results that we're now seeing. So I find myself in a similar role to you, Danny, where I do not think Tata is a great coach, but when you stack him up against MLS coaches, as we've talked about, I think I hate to say it, but I think he might be top 5. And I
He's
know
not
Mike
top 5.
disagrees, but that's all I'll say, because Mike's very passionate about this.
And so the problem here is you can't judge us through the lens of just we're a normal MLS team. We are the elite MLS team. I don't think anyone in the 4 of us or anyone in the chat is going to argue that we don't have the best roster MLS has ever seen ever. And even when you remove Messi, we still have probably the best roster MLS has ever seen. We are an elite team, and Tata's not an elite coach. Am I saying he's the worst coach in MLS? No. Far from it. Am I saying he's a good coach by MLS standards? I can actually say that. But he is not a coach deserving to coach this team, because an elite coach is elite in all manners of the game. Recruiting, setting up your initial lineup, tactical substitutions, and just making changes with your players that exist on the pitch. He is a very good initial tactician. We've seen that. I think Saturday night, the way he came out and just shoved the ball down Cincinnati's face shows that. We show he's a good recruiter, because I do think you have to give him credit for bringing Alvarez in, Frias, Gomez. These are guys that supposedly he helped scout. But he has consistently shown he has no ability for mid-game course management. Even on Saturday night, everybody, I mean, I don't know if, Dan, you guys said on the show, Suarez needed to come out at the 70th minute. He was gassed. He was exhausted. He was looking to pick a fight with Yedlin, which I just do not understand why. He was on a yellow. Like, put in Campana. We have our young stud that all they got to do is just run up and down the field and just kind of create the risk of an impending attack. And we don't get a sub for it till the 85th minute. And then let's not even bring up the Columbus game, which even on your show, I came on. I appreciate you guys letting a slightly drunk Mike show up on your show. And it was a disaster class in tactical management. And this team really deserves a coach that once the first whistle is blown, keeps on coaching the team and making changes that, help us win games. Now, I'll finish my rants and then pause for breath. Even I admit, you can't, at this point, you can't fire Tata mid-season. Like, we're top of the league. Everything's going, we're in the best place it can be. It's our supporter shield to lose. A couple months ago, I was all for it. If he gets the break and we fail, you can't do that now. But very simply, if he does not win MLS Cup, I don't see how you keep him for next season. I think he's shown that in the biggest games, he's not a consistent winner.
Mike, you were waxing poetically about the U.S. women's national team winning the gold medal, and what a great job Emma Hayes did. Did Emma Hayes not substitute just about any player ever during that whole tournament? She ran them into the ground, but because they won, you were okay with it.
But they won a knockout tournament and didn't get knocked out. We've been knocked out of 2 knockout tournaments, specifically one time because he didn't make subs. So you can make the comparison. If Tata won League's Cup running, actually, we'll go last year in he won League's Cup running Messi into the ground. We gave him all the credit, and that said, "Okay, started this season, show us you can do something." And this season, he hasn't shown that ability. He's run players into the ground and then promptly lost matches. So to answer your question, yes, if we had run our players into the ground, won League's Cup, kept on running players into the ground, and kept winning, I can't criticize that, right? You can't criticize a strategy that's consistently bringing wins. Right now, against Supporter Shield teams, we are currently 4-3-3. The top 10 the Supporter Shield
teams.
The top 10 in the Supporter Shield rankings, we are 4-3-3. That is not a very good record for the elite team of MLS. And we know at least one of those matches was a direct loss because of tactical mismanagement.
Look, if you want, I'm sorry, Chris, real quick.
Yeah.
Top 10 Supporter Shield. That's fine. Okay. Let's say top 12, top 6 in the East, top 6 in the West. The top 12 teams in the
That's not on my
Shield.
spreadsheet, man.
It's on mine. out of the top 12, 7 wins, 2 draws, 3 losses. That sounds like a pretty good record against the top teams in the league.
Can you say it again? Because I know we have three.
7, 2, and 3. 3 losses, 2 draws, 7 wins in 12 games that they played against the top 12.
We've got 3. We've got 3 draws. We got 3 draws in the top 10. So something's missing in your sheet, man.
Okay, I'll double check that. I was looking to see when would you think it's acceptable to make your first sub? Because I know that's the number one criticism of Tata. He takes too long to make subs. Around what minute do you think it's acceptable to start subbing players around this time?
I think so. We've had this debate on our show. I think realistically, in the right situation, and funny enough, I think Tata actually made a great call in one game. Halftime sub is applicable when you know you're in trouble. Mm-hmm. And I think there was a Rojas sub that Tata made. And I apologize, I can't remember what game it was, but it was pre-LC break.
It was the Red Bulls game where they won 6-2. They put him in at halftime,
right? And made a change.
Completely flipped.
Yeah, you could broke clock right twice a day, man.
Okay, thank you.
I think somewhere between 65 to 70 minutes is fair
for the first. Okay, so I averaged out what minute each sub takes place. Right. There's literally a game where he didn't make any subs, which is the Monterrey game, which is still wild to me, right? But he made subs in every other game. On average, the first sub is subbed in at about the 58.5-minute mark. That's the first sub. The second sub is subbed in about 70.5-minute mark.
Ooh,
so it's about 2 subs. The first 2 subs are averaging 70th minute. By the 70th minute, he's already made 2 substitutions on average this season.
Hold on,
you're not that bad.
You've how many times have you told me in our internal chat that you can make stats lie on utilizing an average based on he could have 3 subs in one game, he decided to make a change, he's playing with roster. No, you can't use just average when he made a sub to tell that he's good at making substitutions. Or you also don't know who's he's making a substitution for. Is our striker gassed, but he's just bringing in defenders even though we're up?
But why bring in an inconsistent Campana just because Luis Suarez looks gassed?
Because you're stretched, because Campana on Saturday night would have stretched the field and taken away the risk of injury. That, by the way, Suarez did come out with he did something to his wrist or arm, but Campana had the same ability to stretch the field and be a risk. You didn't need to score. You just need a risk. You just need someone that can run down the field and not allow the defenders to stay in the game.
Luis Suarez stayed in the game because you didn't need to score. He has probably the best hold-up play of any forward outside of Messi on that team. You get the ball to him, and he'll hold it up, and he'll spread it around once everybody else gets back up. Campana's lost if he gets the ball. If he gets the ball, he's going to do what he did in Nashville last year.
Campana, I have had to listen. If we I'll talk about all the players I've disliked on this team, Campana being top 5. I've had to hear about how great Campana's hold-up play when he actually does it is. Campana has the ability to be good at hold-up play when he's told to do
not like Suarez.
Hold-up play. No, of course not like Suarez.
Suarez is a monster.
But again, you're Suarez at the 70th minute. We need him for the rest of the season. Campana, we don't.
You were going to say something, Brandon?
Put him out there.
Listen, everybody who knows me knows I love Campana. I have a soft spot for the guy. I don't know what it is. But even I will disagree. I think leaving Suarez in that game because it was Cincinnati. We needed to win. We needed to have some threat in the game, and I don't know that Cincinnati's scared of Campana. If we're playing against the Revolution, does my answer change? Then I think you put in Campana, but I don't think you do it in this game.
Yeah, but the fear is you got to keep the center backs farther back, and just having Campana there keeps the center backs from creeping past midfield. That's all that you put the player there for. You're
that I
not
can
trying.
it.
Right.
That
You're
I-
not trying to
that I
get him to
can
actually
agree
do
with.
anything. It's about
Yeah.
it's just about keeping the center backs up. And that's where you didn't need to risk Suarez anymore. And by the way, I found it super funny. I'm reading through some of the reviews of the game, and I remember one thing that Tata masterclass substitutions, but also could have subbed out Suarez a lot sooner. And I'm like, how could be a masterclass and you're picking on stuff like he's consistently inconsistent substitutions. The two biggest tournament matches of the year, he doesn't make substitutions. He doesn't make the right ones. He's
Well, then you
consistently underwhelmed in tournament play. Which,
But you all
by the way, we're paid to just Chris, give me 1 second. Tata's here to win this season, not to build a program. We've lost in the 2 tournaments we've played in so far. That is a major negative to his stat. Like, if we do not win MLS Cup, I still consider the season a fail. Supporter Shield or not, you were
I
brought in
agree.
to win. You were brought in to win CCC or MLS Cup, and we're down to 1.
How many knockout tournaments has Tata coached in though so far as an Inter Miami manager?
4, 3, sorry.
3.
Three?
And he's won
4,
one of
no,
them.
4.
Oh,
He's
the
won a
Open
4.
Cup.
the Open Cup.
He was given a 2-game. He could have won if you won 2 games, won himself a trophy. He missed the
Yeah.
Open Cup.
All
You
right,
got to
yeah,
count.
I guess.
Dan, I know you don't love
Yeah,
the Open Cup, but you
that's
can't
fine.
not count that.
No, I know. It's just because he got into it like literally with 2 games left. I don't consider. But
Right.
yeah, okay, fine.
But
4.
It's a 2-game.
All right,
it's a
so
2-game
it's-
tournament.
All right, it's 1 and 3 then. I agree with you. MLS Cup or bust, definitely. He needs to win the MLS Cup because he didn't win any of the other 2 this season. But with that said, it's not easy winning these. Look, when you were on the show a week or 2 ago, when you started ranting about him being a top 5 coach, not being a top 5 coach, you said Cherundolo is a better coach than him. How many times has Cherundolo choked in the final? Like, it's not easy to win these.
So I knew you'd bring that up because I remember saying in the conversation, Cherundolo is going to make 2 finals this year alone. Fine, choke in the
Okay.
final. Tata hasn't even made the quarterfinals. Like, it's not even a comparison right now between him and Cherundolo.
Okay,
And by the way, Inter Miami has a better roster. Inter Miami has a better roster than LAFC. So Cherundolo's done more with less.
He's choked in 4 finals. And out of the 4 tournaments that you just talked about with Tata just now, he's made it to the final in 2 of them.
To me,
He's getting us there.
yeah, to me, more of it's better to get to the final in 4 than get dropped in the quarterfinals twice. Like, if we were losing to LAFC in the finals or Columbus Crew in the finals, it's a very different conversation than we're not even making it to the semifinals. We haven't even sniffed the semifinals in these tournaments.
You know,
And
I
again,
meant to.
you can't question the roster. Like, we have the best roster.
Before, and I meant to do this, but unfortunately my day didn't allow it. I watched you guys, and before Messi went off to Copa America, I remember Mike, he thought that we were just going to plummet once Messi left.
I was wrong.
We
Yeah.
100%. But you thought that because Messi was gone, Tata couldn't win without Messi, and he didn't prove anything.
And he has.
Yeah.
He proved that he can. He proved, and this roster is
100%.
better than we thought.
Yes.
So
Wait, hold on. State that the second line again, though. This roster is much better than we thought.
100%.
I'll say I thought, and I'm not the only one.
Well, I think everybody. But does Tata not get any credit for that?
So here's my question.
I asked you a
Alvarez
question. Give me an answer.
I mean, come on. Look at
Give me an answer.
So I'm
asking
going
you
to
for
ask
an
your
answer.
question. I'm asking your question with another question because I'd like to understand your
You
opinion.
should have gone to Branton first.
So someone in the chat when we first started said, how many yellow cards and red cards has Toto gotten? Toto's sitting on 10 yellow cards
45.
and 2 red cards. So he's number 1 in the league for yellow cards. He's tied for number 1 in the league in red cards. It's actually pretty impressive. Do you give Tata the credit for Toto's immaturity and not correcting it? Or do you say that's part of a larger systematic cultural issue on the team? And that's my kind of answer of, I blame Tata for it the same as I blame the fact that we have consistently underwhelmed. So
That's a super stretch, Mike.
It isn't. You expect your coach to coach up your players. Suarez getting a stupid yellow card for taunting Yedlin, which I would love to know what was being said there. When I saw it, because it was all the way kind of catty corner for me, I didn't even realize it was Yedlin when it was happening. I watched the replay this morning. Like, Tata's not coaching these players. He's not holding the players accountable. So if you ask me how we won those games, I'm finally answering your question, Danny. Like, we were just a better team in 7 out of those 8 games. I think the one game I will give Tata credit for was the Columbus Crew win, which I think was the second game in that stretch.
You don't give him any
But the
credit
rest
for
of
beating
those
Cincinnati?
games, the Cincinnati loss,
The win.
Oh,
that just happened
sorry,
a
the
couple
win?
days ago.
I sorry. You know what's funny? Because I did all this stuff and thought of all this stuff thinking we were going to do this before we got back to MLS, so I hadn't really considered it. Tata deserves credit for the win last night, specifically because what he did to get us into that 2-0 and just coming out there and manhandling them when Acosta wasn't on the field, and then retaining the 5-man back line. And I think it was interesting. He was smart enough to put in Christoph towards the end because he realized Christoph can't run, but you don't have to run when you're bunkered. Yeah, I'll give him credit for that one too. But I think at the end of the day, the other 6 or 7 wins in that span, we just out rostered them. We had a much better roster, consistently better roster than every team. We're expected to win. I think out of the 8 games, we should win 5 or 6 of those, at minimum 5 or 6 of those. Throw in the extra 2, yeah, fine. He gets an extra credit for his coaching. But I think when we look at why did we end up in red card trouble again, that also has to be blamed on him. When Berhalter, one of the big things I had when Sergio Dest punted the
Branton,
ball.
do you get to speak on your show?
Rarely.
Not much. Yeah, no. When Sergio Dest, I'll finish this one time. Sergio Dest booted the ball in that U.S. men's national game, and everyone's like, "Oh, Berhalter can't control his players." Berhalter gets to see those guys for like 4 weeks out of the year. Tata gets to see these guys for 11 months out of the year, and
But he likes his players playing aggressive.
Red cards is there's aggressive, and then stupid play, which is what Toto did. That was. I watched that replay 3 times. That was a bad foul. And then crying, like pretending to cry, they got hit in the face was just insult to injury.
Well, but that's why I think that it's a little bit of a stretch in terms of like whether Tata can be able to round that up or not. I mean, Branton, I guess the question goes to you now. I mean, do you think that Tata has something to do with that?
So I think it's hard to say that a coach should be blamed for the acts of what is Toto 19? 19-year-old.
He just
in MLS.
He turned 20 earlier this year.
Okay. Yeah. So I think it's hard to say that a coach is totally to blame for his actions because when we were 20 years old, we did stupid shit, right? Mm-hmm. But then at the same time, like Tata likes his center backs to play like that. One of his favorite center backs of all time is LGP. LGP plays like this. And so, like, he's trying, like, I have a hard time blaming a coach for a young player's lack of maturity because you can coach up a guy all you want, but at the end of the day, if that's how he wants to play, he's going to play like that. And it's hard to get through to young players. And, it just, I think it's hard to blame Tata for that. And, you guys have, Danny's listened to the show and has probably heard my stance on Tata. I don't like Tata. I don't think he's a great coach, but I don't think we can criticize him at this point. We're sitting in Supporters Shield territory. We've already clinched a playoff spot. Like, I'm willing to let this man finish the season, and if he puts a star on the crest, and then
Brandon,
who am I to complain about how he got there? But I need to
from the
right.
Sorry.
But I think the problem is like at this point, I think when we complain about Tata, to me it feels a little nitpicky at this point, which is why like I pulled back, and I've told you this on our show. Like it's a little it's just nitpicky, and I feel like we just need to let him finish the season. If we get to the season, there's no star on our crest, no supporter shield, then hell yeah, get Tata out of here. But I just feel like right now, where we are in this season, from where we were 2 years ago, for me personally, it's hard to hate on Tata right now. And as much as I want to, because I can find things in every single game that he coaches that bother me, that I think he did wrong. But at the same time, anybody who knows me, I'm a diehard Liverpool fan. I could say the same thing about Jurgen Klopp. There were games where I would look back and say, why didn't he make this up? Why didn't he do this? And I have to catch myself because I'm being nitpicky, because I got spoiled with winning. And I don't want that to happen to us, because as a fan base, like, we remember what it was like to be like laughing stocks. And now here we are in Supporter Shield. And the closer we get to that, and the closer we get to the playoffs, I'm like, man, I have to take a step back and just like let it play out at this point, because we're past the halfway point in the season. Like, we're at the point where like cards are on the table. If Tata doesn't win a trophy and we don't make CCC next year, Tata's not here most likely, because the ownership wants that CCC trophy while Messi is here. They want that. They've said it. And if we don't even make the tournament for next year, that's going to be a problem.
If we end up top of the East, we will make the tournament.
Right. But I think it's safe to say if we make top of the East, I think we probably win Supporters Shield as well.
Well, and no, but just to be clear, Open Cup gets a spot. The MLS Cup winner gets a spot. The Eastern Conference most points gets a spot. Western Conference most points gets a spot. And then the next most points in the regular season for the Falls. Like it looks like we'll be
can
in
most
the
likely
and
make
don't forget,
it.
Columbus just got the league's cup spot. So if they win the East, it'll fall down a spot too.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right. So
but that's my point. It makes it even worse
if
we don't make it.
Mm-hmm. We've only lost 4 games in the regular season.
4.
3 of those games, we've played that team again. And we beat that team the second time around. So there's no team that has outclassed us consistently outside of maybe Monterrey. But that first game, we all saw how that ended without David Ruiz's red card. We might win that game. I feel
another
hothead. I feel like Tata, like Mike said, does a great job setting up a game plan. Maybe his in-game tactics or
he's not Wilfred Nancy.
He's not Wilfred Nancy. But if you really think about it, what coach is perfect? I am 100% sure that you've complained about every coach we've had, and you will complain about every coach going forward, because that's just what happens.
The nature of sports.
For sure. Like you're never going to be fully happy with any coach.
But I think there's a different. I think you have to take in the big picture here, which is Tata's here to win this season and maybe next. He's paid. The whole team's built, winning season to season. And as season ticket holders, we've been asked to make a considerable investment in this team to see these trophies won. And so I will throw out Branton. A lot of people calling you on the chat as being rational. I'm not saying it's irrational, but I do think you're discounting the fact that we've completely crashed out of 2 tournaments so far. And so, yes, I'm not saying we should get rid of Tata now. I'm not. Just to be clear, Tata gets his chance to finish the season. But I think it's more than nitpicky to be frustrated as a fan that we've completely crashed out of tournaments. And
does he get any credit for giving Bright playing time? There were other options. I understand that maybe
he tried in Sunderland.
Right. Like he had other options, even though the options were slim. There were other options out there, and he chose Bright, and Bright's been shining. And don't want to forget.
No, Bright's been fantastic. Bright, you cannot not start Bright at this point. And I think Bright it's so funny because of Bright, Busquets can keep on seeing the field at some level because he's really locked up the middle and the center and lets Sergio play in the back line, which is working. I think the 5-3-2 we saw works.
But I think that's by default because Toto Aviles is always out on cards. Christoph is your next best center back. Like, I mean, at this point, Busquets is like just locked.
No, but we saw, I think his perfect. I don't think we all agree that's the perfect back line. I think we'd all rather see Frey on the right back than Cello. Yeah. But that 5-man back line is what Tata's been wanting to play since the first game in Saudi Arabia or wherever the first game was, El Salvador. Yeah. But that's the lineup he's wanted to play. And with Sergio as that center back, you finally get to see him play it. So I think that's Bright allows. I think Bright was the key he was missing to finally play that lineup. So yes, Danny he gets credit.
So overall, you feel like he's underachieved because he hasn't went. You said the top 5 coaches in the MLS were Cherundolo, Nancy, Noonan,
Curtin, Olsen,
Curtin.
and I'm gonna throw out Chris Armas. I think he's doing a fantastic job at Colorado right now with the third place in Leagues Cup.
Now, of those 6,
now none of them could coach this team, ironically.
That's fine.
Funny enough.
But of the top 6 over the last, let's say, calendar year, how many of those have won any trophies? Nancy.
Well, the problem is Nancy keeps on winning them.
Okay. So are the other
Olsen,
fan bases yelling to get rid of their coaches, or is it just us?
The other fan bases didn't bring in the best players in the world to win in every tournament they're in.
Yeah, yeah, Danny. You can't put your stake on that, Danny. That was bad. Yeah. That was awful. That was awful.
Okay.
It's not.
I'm just saying that does actually won one.
We literally have
won
Messi,
one.
By the way, throw out there. I don't know if you've been on LAFC boards today. I happen to peruse. They're about to get rid of Trundle at this point for what they've done. So yeah, the other teams are.
But how long has he been? How long has he been in there though?
3 years, 2 years,
Okay.
22, 23, and 24, and he brought in 22 of MLS Cup.
Tata's been here for 12 months.
He was paid. He was expected to win in the first 12 months. He expected to win the first year, bring home at least one.
He
trophy,
won the
which
first month he was here.
But since then, listen, he was expected to win CCC.
What have you
Why?
done?
Because he had Messi. Because he had Messi, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or we lost Messi. Fine.
Okay.
We go into Leagues Cup with still the best roster in MLS.
But
bounced in the
didn't have
quarterfinals.
Messi. If we didn't have Messi, everybody wouldn't be saying that we were shoo-in to win everything.
No.
We didn't have. Well, no, don't stop. You know that's why. Messi wasn't here for Leagues Cup this year, and we got booted. He wasn't here for the Open Cup final last year, and we didn't win. The reason that everybody's saying, but that's fine. But the reason everybody's saying that he needs to win every trophy is because you have Messi and friends. If it was just friends, then it's like, let's get the MLS Cup and see what else we can pick up along the way. Because of Messi, it increases like you got to win everything.
Okay, fair point. I'm not going to discount that we shouldn't be expecting to win 4 trophies, 3 trophies, even 2 trophies without Messi. But at this point, to get bounced the way we've been bounced from both those tournaments, I think our expectations are not being met. You can't say for the
first 60 minutes, and if Gomez, and I know that if, ands, and buts are pointless, but if Gomez knocks in that cross from Gressel when he got subbed in the 65th minute, take a 3-1 lead, we beat Columbus. Unfortunately, that didn't go in, and things went awry. But he put the players in place to succeed.
You asked a question. You asked a question earlier, a good question. When do you think subs should be made? When did Nancy make those subs in that Columbus game?
Halftime.
Halftime. Because he's a good enough coach to realize I'm in deep trouble.
He's the
I
best
need to make
coach.
immediate changes.
Yesterday, when you was watching the finals, I forgot one of the players, I forgot which player it was, got a yellow card. As soon as he got the yellow card, he pulled out the whiteboard, started writing some stuff, called over Darlington Nagbe. Come here. And started he is the best coach. That's hands down.
He's on a different level.
But he's on a different level. Just because Tata's not on that level doesn't mean he's a bad coach.
Why shouldn't we as fans expect the best team in MLS to have a coach at that level? Why are we setting? Yeah, but
what are the coaches there that is at that level?
Pochettino should have been on the list. Xavi should have been on the list. You shouldn't be limiting yourself to MLS coaches. We're paying way more in salary than any other MLS team. Our coach should be paid way more in salary.
Just because they're on the list doesn't mean they want to come.
Yeah, I think that's the problem. Is
we don't know if that's a problem. Who wants to come?
No, it is a problem because who wants to come here and coach this team? And just like
Mike
Danny's saying, they have I think all coaches should be afraid of Mike. But to have the pressure that Danny's talking about. But what coach wants to come here with Messi? And if they don't win, they're going to be considered a failure.
So
to me, I would not.
Drew came out yesterday.
Top coach, I would not want to come to.
There's no pressure. There's no real pressure in MLS. Drew came out yesterday and was talking about how he loves being in LA.
I'm not talking about MLS. I'm not talking about MLS. I'm talking about Inter Miami. I'm saying this team. Who wants? Because Xavi, if Xavi comes here and doesn't win anything after his tenure at Barcelona, you think he's going to get any other job offers?
Never.
No one's going to care.
And look at Mike. Mike was saying Pochettino. He failed at Messi, Neymar, and Mbappe.
He's coming to coach MLS,
Mike.
man. There is a lower expectation here.
You
I'm
just
sorry, there
said-
is.
But you just
There
said
is.
nobody cares about what happens in MLS, and you want a coach
No,
to
it's
come
an
here
easier
and coach his
job.
team.
It's a much easier to say that you don't want to come
That's
here
why
because of
we
pressure.
have Tata. Like,
What
that's
have you
it.
done for me lately? What if that's Mike's take? What have you done for me lately?
Sorry, you can't say there's more pressure in MLS. Even coaching Messi and
I
Inter
didn't
Miami,
say MLS.
that-
I said
You
Inter
are.
Miami.
Yeah, it's Inter
Coaching
Miami plays-
Messi.
Last time I checked, Inter Miami's in MLS. And no matter how
But-
good our team is, it's still MLS. We can barely get the Miami Herald to cover our games. Like, there's not that much pressure coaching in Miami.
Thank you,
That's-
Mr. Pat Noonan over here. I'm the gentleman awake. I'm no Tata lover, but Mike is cray. Look at Cincy without Lucho, Cucho, Chicho, Buanga, Pooch, all their teams' fates in their health.
Those are all the majority of those teams are one-player teams. We're not a one-player team. Someone else wrote up earlier that we've got a cheat code because not only do we have
You think
Suarez
Columbus is
and
a one-player
Alba
team?
and Busquets. Who?
Columbus?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
You think Columbus and Cincy are one-player teams?
I mean, Cucho is pulling every string on that team, and Acosta. I mean, I think
Diego
Solana's
Rossi's
pointed out, and
fire.
you've pointed out that without Costa, they can't win without him. So yeah, I do. They struggle when they don't have those players.
Noonan can't win without him because
Well, Noonan
Noonan
wasn't even
isn't
here.
as good of a
Noonan
coach.
wasn't even here on
as you
Saturday.
say.
By the way, I think an interesting point. You know, a lot of questions. What happens when you don't have your coach? Well, I think we saw Cincinnati not having Noonan. They struggled just as much more so by not having Noonan, I think, than not having Acosta that first half.
We spoke to Coach last week. He said that he's a lot like Tata. He doesn't do in-game adjustments very often.
Yeah.
All right,
But still, those are one. We gotta let Branton rant a little bit. We can agree to disagree, and we can.
Well,
we
yeah,
can
yeah.
regroup. We'll regroup at the end of the season.
Yeah, well, look, the Tata talk, obviously, it's kind of like politics and religion. We're never going to agree. I think Tata has done, although I see 100%, I see his flaws. I still think Frey should start over Cello. I do wish he was to substitute a little earlier, but he's winning. So, like, what am I going to say to that? He keeps winning.
Have
Brent?
we?
Have
I
guess the point I want to make.
All right, never mind. Sorry, I forgot. Must be like Inter Miami show.
So
I
one more
can't
thing.
talk.
The point I want to make is I don't want to get to the end of the season and be like, well, how come you guys weren't complaining about Tata now? And just because he didn't win MLS Cup, now you all of a sudden get upset. I don't want to hear that.
Nobody's going to
That's
say that
the-
about you and me.
I know, but I get that, baby. That's the whole point. Like, I don't want to hear that kind of bullshit. Am I allowed to say that on this show?
Sure.
Yes.
Too late.
Nobody
Okay.
Chris is more than Chris.
All right, so like that's the piece I don't want to hear of. Oh, the team was the fans of them. They loved him, and then all of a sudden they lost it just because he didn't win one trophy. No, it's been a pattern. That's my last thing I'll say on this. That's
It's been a
why.
pattern. Mike
Yeah.
is upset that we had a shit team for 3 or 4 years, and all of a sudden we're top of the supporter shield. We're like 7 points clear of second place. We are probably going to host some playoff games, hopefully a final. We might win the MLS Cup, and Mike's still complaining. It's unbelievable. But
Woulda, coulda, shoulda. When
I
we
don't
win
know-
those cups, I will.
I don't know why I
will wear
say
the
unbelievable
uniform.
because, like the flag behind you says, believe that Mike will be upset no matter what. All right,
Have we,
move on. Go.
Before we move on, though, have we ironed out the bet that we have?
No, because Mike wanted to do it for the supporter shield and Halloween, but the supporter shield gets decided and the MLS Cup happened.
I was
after
trying to give it to you
Halloween.
earlier.
Yeah, but I mean, we don't know if he's going to win the MLS Cup until after. We'll
All right.
figure it out. We'll figure it out. All right.
Stay
So,
tuned.
and then we did want to address one more thing that I'm constantly arguing with these guys about. Leagues Cup, Open Cup. I think the Open Cup is unnecessary. I know I'm going to be nice. It's unnecessary. If they want to stay part of it, that's fine. They want to keep tradition, all that cute stuff. That's fine. But if we have to pick one, I definitely think that it makes more sense to stick with the Leagues Cup rather than Open Cup if you have to pick. I think might as well just expand the rosters and do both. But if you can't, for whatever reason, I'll never know. If we can't and I have to pick one, I'm all for Leagues Cup over Open Cup. Now, I know that in this case, Branton is the one that likes to brant. So, Branton, I open it up to you, or unless Chris wants to say something before you go.
I just wanted to mention one thing about the Leagues Cup that's sort of like the Achilles heel. it's the fact that the Leagues Cup started as soon as Messi came into the MLS. So it had this sort of like rocket, propelled like trajectory of bringing in fans and bringing people to the stands and putting eyes on Apple TV. So I think that was really bad because obviously this year Messi didn't have anything to do with Leagues Cup. So I think that's hurt Leagues Cup in reality. But go ahead, Brent. The floor is yours. Let's hear a Brent.
Well, so I think your audience has already heard me do this before. I feel like we've done this. But anyway, Danny, I do have to say, I do agree with what you were saying. I think we should expand the rosters and do both tournaments. I think that's the ultimate solution because, while I get the business side of Leagues Cup, I'm not irrational. I get it. Do I think this year's Leagues Cup did anything to really grow the league? No. But I think it's on MLS to learn from this because they learned from last year. They made some adjustments. Let's see what adjustments they make this year. I've been as vocal a critic of Leagues Cup as there can be. Do I think there's a way to make it work and to make it help the league get better? Yeah, absolutely. For my takes on Leagues Cup, I was called not a fan of this team. So, there is that. But the reason I'm all in on US Open Cup is because to me, soccer and football should be more than just a business. Leagues Cup screams money grab to me. Open Cup screams developing soccer in the country. I fully see the point that it is not super beneficial for MLS. Fully see that point. I will not argue that on a business standpoint, Leagues Cup isn't better than US Open Cup. But for me, I like my soccer and I like football to have passion. I like it to have I like there to be emotion in it. I don't just go because I don't know. I don't go because it's a business. And so that's why Open Cup's important to me because you start taking away Open Cup, you start taking away the opportunities of other players in USL throughout the country of playing on this team. And we've had the argument before in our private chat that having Messi does more to grow the game of soccer in this country than playing in towns like Louisville or Indy 11. And we've had that conversation and it's possible. It's absolutely possible. But it will happen now. But when Messi goes away, kids in those places aren't going to care about soccer anymore. They're going to go back to playing baseball, football, basketball, and move on. Most of them, and maybe we keep a couple. There's always going to be a couple that stay around, but I think the majority of fans probably lose interest as kids because then you're you're paying for Apple TV, you're turning it on, and you're seeing Darlington Nagbe, who's one of my favorite players, but probably is not a household name, up against whoever. And I hate to see the romanticism of the game go away. It's like when the EPL teams were flirting with the Super League. I hate that. And I was very vocal in my opposition of Liverpool joining that league because you lose so much tradition and so much passion. And I think Open Cup gives you a little bit of that. And so that's why I'm so vocal. People can hate that take. People can trash me for it like they have already. And it's fine. I'm never going to change in my opposition to getting rid of Open Cup. If the league didn't come out and say, we're not playing Open Cup because we're prioritizing Leagues Cup, then would I hate Leagues Cup? Probably not. I probably would have enjoyed it. I probably would have watched it. But because it's coming at the expense of not just, in my mind, in other people's minds, not just a tournament, but opportunities to spread the game throughout the country in areas that maybe don't see MLS caliber players, yeah, I'm going to be upset about it.
I do want to bring up, go ahead, Danny.
No, I was just going to ask, you don't think that those kids are more likely watching Apple TV to watch Messi than running out to watch Indy 11 play against Birmingham, Alabama?
To see Messi play, yeah. But do I think those kids are turning on Apple TV once Messi leaves? Probably not. They're
Well,
probably going with their youth teams to the USL
Well,
games.
Well, and that's the point that one of the points I wanted to make is that I feel like even after Messi leaves, the fact that people were watching when Messi was there, the kids, at some point, if we were to garner 20 to 30% of the kids that were viewing or in the air, I think that's a win. No?
I don't disagree. But I also think you have Messi here, so why not try and capitalize more? And why pull yourself out of like the most prestigious tournament in our country or the most historic?
Not prestigious. The oldest.
Sorry,
the
most
oldest.
historic.
All the judgments being made here are accessibility to watch the games, which means the real knock against U.S. Open Cup is that it doesn't have the Apple TV deal, which, by the way, for the semifinals and finals, it now does.
They're going to be on.
But if the U.S. Open Cup had the full Apple TV deal, at least starting with when MLS joined, it takes that entire argument away because Messi would be in either tournament.
Well, but then now I want to bring something up here, which is my other point, because now that it's going to be out there on Apple TV, it's going to be available to more people, more eyes onto the games. But I want to bring something up here because there's so much prestige considered behind the U.S. Open Cup and that they're not as money hungry or seen as money hungry. I was having this conversation with Danny a couple of days ago about the year that they went to go play Miami FC in FIU Stadium. If Messi was to have started prior to that in the U.S. Open Cup, do you not think that, I mean, who makes benefit off of this is the CONCACAF, no? I mean,
but hold on. Leagues Cup had the same issue. There was a game in Leagues Cup with under 5,000 people in attendance. So both tournaments have attendance issues in the games no one cares about.
I don't think that's where Chris was going with it. But to be clear, although those are attendance issues, there's one that's an attendance issue, and there's one that's just non-existent. And Open Cup attendance is just non-existent.
Same with Leagues Cup. The leagues, except for the final.
So
I watched a lot of Leagues Cup. No, Danny, I watched a lot of Leagues Cup. Did you watch the third place game? It was empty. Did you watch? Who
the fuck cares about a third place game?
Did you watch Giroud's?
They shouldn't play that thing.
LAFC's first match with Giroud. That stadium was a quarter full, less than that. No one was going to those games, and that was his first game. His first time stepping on the pitch. Nobody went and watched that game.
Leagues Cup gets much more attendance than the Open Cup. The issue is that everybody's comparing it with last year's Leagues Cup. I think Messi was a gift and a curse to the Leagues Cup. It was a gift for the first ever Leagues Cup. It's a curse because it's now being compared to that always. This Leagues Cup was a good tournament. It was entertaining. It had fans in the stands. For as much as people want to say there wasn't, there were fans in the stands. It outdid the Open Cup. We could compare that all day.
Oh yeah.
When you get it
did kick the Open Cup.
Hold on. When you get to MLS matches in Open Cup, it's the same way. It is.
What?
It's the same point. Once you get to when you get to the U.S. Open Cup later rounds, it's the same thing. People show up
the semifinals.
Because you go see them. Yeah,
I looked at the number for the last couple rounds, and it was awful.
So first off, like
Leagues Cup,
there's no way to compare. And I'm the U.S. Open Cup defender. There's no way to compare the average attendance for U.S. Open Cup to the average attendance of Leagues Cup. Even half full stadiums for Leagues Cup is better than Open Cup, and I'm not disputing that point. For me, it's about romance and love of the game.
Yeah.
From a business standpoint, Leagues Cup is better for the league, but I think the league really does need to look at the tournament and say, how can we make this better? They did a little bit of that last year to this year, and I think they need to look at it this year and start planning post-Messi. Because, like to Danny's point, Messi skewed what the success of the tournament should be. Mm-hmm. And I think having the Mexican teams not allowed to play at home is a travesty in this tournament.
That was my other piece was going to say is in the now 8 semifinal teams that have made Leagues Cup semifinals, only one Mexican team has made it through so far. So the Leagues Cup semifinals and the U.S. Open semi-cup finals essentially look the same, which is just all MLS teams, maybe one team creeping in. And I think that's where you want to kind of call differentiation. You've got to find a way for the Mexican teams, kind of like, how do we improve Leagues Cup? The Mexican teams either need to start caring more which I theorize they
No,
don't care.
stop that. Stop with the whole they don't care. Monterrey fired their coach once they got eliminated. The America goalkeeper started crying in tears when he missed that goal. Like, stop that nonsense. They care. They lose, but they care.
But they don't lose in CCC. So is it just we got to go play there?
Because
but at CCC,
they're already
they play
in the
at
season.
home.
And
What's what I
they're
said? So we got to go play there.
No. Hold on. This CCC conversation is stupid. The CCC, when we play against them, they're a well-oiled machine. They're playing throughout their season, then they stop and they play CCC games. Nashville literally played the CCC as a preseason game. Like, their preseason game was their first Champions Cup game. Now, when we get to Leagues Cup, we are mid-season and they're just getting started. It sucks for both leagues that's the way the tournament plans out, but that's why the results are what they are. So, they don't care.
So what's the solution then?
There is no solution for that.
I want to mention something about the attendance. Indy 11 versus Atlanta United FC, 2,417 fans in the stands. Sacramento Republic versus Seattle Sounders, 7,000 fans. Sporting KC against FC Dallas, 8,082. LAFC versus New Mexico United, 6,000 fans. Columbus, just in their run.
Hold on. Santos versus DC United, 1,000 fans in the Leagues Cup. So don't make this that Leagues Cup doesn't have the issue. It
That's
has
one
the same
game,
issues.
though. I literally lined you up the last round.
I can't find all the statistics for Leagues Cup. I'm gonna assume that it wasn't just one that was 1,000 and everyone else was 15,000. There was, I'm sure, 1,000s, 3,000s, 5,000, similar stuff. Well, it has these similar problems, and it's part of it is because you're playing in only the U.S. But cherry picking the stats works both ways on this.
Look,
well, I'm going to tell you,
both clubs have this problem.
Bratton is Open Cup lover number one, and he said you can't compare the attendances. Leagues Cup's going to be better than Open Cup. One, because you have so many Mexican fans in the West Coast that they're going to fill up the stadiums, and it's just going to skew the numbers also. Like there is more interest in watching Liga MX than there is in watching USL for MLS fans. So the attendance is silly to even bring up because it's almost unfair. Mm-hmm. Now, the other part of it, whether it be the history or the business aspect, that's what needs to be, I guess, debated. I think they should do both. But if they had to pick one, Bratton thinks that the Open Cup helps the country more. I disagree. I think playing the more popular tournament that brings more eyes, because I think it brings more eyes in the Open Cup. I think that helps grow the sport more.
I think playing Leagues Cup benefits the league more, and I think playing Open Cup probably benefits
the country.
Benefits the country
so.
more.
I think
I'm not expecting.
Hey, can I? I just got to do something. I've been to every U.S. Open Cup game at Drive Pink and gone to the Miami FC games. I don't know why they're asking that question in the chats, but everyone, you four know I go to every game. Like that's one comment you won't get.
We'll see what happens when you no longer when they no longer play in Broward, because you'll see how difficult it is to make.
Remember, I'm equidistant. Where I'm located, I'm exactly equal. Yeah.
Oh well, you're a lucky guy because for us it's over an hour, and on weekdays it's
I get it. But you're asking the question of how many USOC games I've been to. I bought tickets for like 15 of my friends one day to go to a USOC game, to go to the Georgia. What was the Georgia?
The Tormenta.
The Tormenta game. I bought tickets for a dozen people.
That was the game Robbie Robinson body slammed that guy.
It was awesome. It was right in front of us. It was awesome.
I want to bring up the point that I was trying to make with the Miami FC thing. Mm-hmm. If Messi would have started with the U.S. Open Cup and Miami FC would have hosted Inter Miami with Messi, you're going to tell me that the U.S. Open Cup isn't going to try to gouge everybody for extra money to watch Messi play at FIU Stadium?
Could you imagine? We saw what happens when Messi plays in Hard Rock, them playing in FIU Stadium with like the 6 foot tall chain fences and everyone's climbing over it. It never could have happened.
But like Chris is saying, everybody's out for the money.
U.S. Open Cup would have gouged people for money. Nobody would have got $5.
U.S. Open Cup.
Go ahead, Branton. You were going to say something?
Oh,
no. Listen. I think anybody who's a supporter of U.S. Open Cup is going to see. You're absolutely right. Like it's going to happen, and to think it's not is kind of naive. Yeah. But I do I do want to throw out there that I do have a solution for Leagues Cup. All right. So hear me out on this one. I've said it on our show.
Wait. I don't want to copy you, so let me just say mine real quick and see if it's.
Oh.
I think they should split it up into 2 halves. Is that where you're going to go with it?
No.
Okay. All right, go ahead.
It's cooked.
So
Brandon.
I think this is the opportunity. MLS switches their schedule. They model the European schedule. They take a winter break in the middle of the season when you can't play up north, and you play Leagues Cup in southern cities in Mexico. And you play that mid-season tournament. You expand the rosters, and then you're able to play everything. You're able to be competitive in CCC. You're able to play Leagues Cup. You're able to be competitive in the season.
No, man. The reason they do the schedule the way they do is to avoid the NFL.
Yeah, no, I know, but
they can't do that.
I mean, the first easy solution, though, it starts with you got to expand the rosters. You got to have expanded rosters where we don't have to make this choice between. That's the start. I think Danny's point, and is a great point, that the way the tournaments are all set up, you're playing in your off season. I think we do have to look at our calendar. I get the point. We don't want to compete against. It's actually, I don't think it's NFL, but it's also college football, because college football plays on Saturdays, same as we do.
Football in general,
it's basically the same thing.
But I think we have to eventually follow the European schedule, because it's going to keep on being a problem for everything.
Can I say one last thing, and then I'll let you guys say whatever. I think the biggest issue with MLS critics is that they compare the MLS to the European soccer model. Whether it be with domestic tournaments, whether it be the schedule, all of it, the passion, pro everything. Everybody compares the MLS and wants the MLS to become that. The MLS will never become that. The MLS is competing with the NBA, with the NFL, with the NHL. Like, that's what the MLS wants. The MLS wants to be top dog here in the United States as far as a sports league. I don't think they're worried about competing with England or Spain or France or South America. They're not worried about that. And I think that that's what everybody wants. But here in the United States, one, we don't really care about in-season tournaments here. That's another reason why people don't go to the American fan that's a casual soccer fan doesn't give a crap about who's winning at the end of the season. That last game of the season, who's winning it? That's what we care about. The Super Bowl champion, the NBA champion, the world, that's what we care about.
And nobody even cares about NBA in tournaments.
No, and they started trying that. Nobody cares about in-season tournaments. The casual American fan that they're trying to catch, like, they don't care about these things. And I understand that they're trying to incorporate it to kind of keep the Brantons that love Liverpool, the Mikes that love Chelsea, and those people, they want to keep those people and bring in the new ones. But we American fans don't care about all that stuff.
So my reasoning for adopting the European schedule or something like it doesn't have to be the exact same thing, has nothing to do with I think we need to emulate European leagues. I think what it shows is, and you saw it during Copa, if you want to be a league that attracts top tier talent, you can't lose your talent. Like, you can't lose your marketable assets for a quarter of your season. Like, if you're going to try to really compete with the NBA and the NFL, you need your stars in season, all season. And having your games in the summer when there's World Cup, there's, Euros, there's Copa, like, do you have to model Europe's schedule exactly? No. But you do need to plan for when your stars aren't there if you're going to really take on the top 4 leagues in this country. And having your top players away at international tournaments that don't benefit you while you're actually playing games, I don't think that helps you get to the next level. So if MLS can come up with a different schedule, take a break during these tournaments or whatever, I'm all for it. That's my reasoning behind changing the schedule, is because I think if you're going to take everybody down, you need your marketable assets on the field in your league. Because Messi winning Copa with Argentina does not help MLS as much as him playing a full MLS season would.
I agree. But in this country, I just don't see it happening. And the season used to start the week of March 8th. I know because it kicked off on my cousin's birthday all the time. Yeah. We're at February, 23rd now? Like, they're starting just about, like, the NFL Super Bowl's over, MLS kicks off. MLS time. So they're not, the thought hasn't even crossed their head. If anything, they're digging their heels in and trying to start immediately after the Super Bowl is over. So
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to happen. I understand why it would be good. I think that the reason that we don't get a lot of good players at the beginning of the season is because they're halfway through the season, like you said, in Europe. But I mean, that is one cross that we're going to have to bear, unfortunately. But
Yeah.
on the positive side, you know that the Leagues Cup's going to be where a lot of those players debut. So another one for the
Mhm.
Leagues Cup.
Yeah, absolutely could be, but we'll see.
All right, Chris, I'm sorry. You want to say anything because I feel like you were quiet for most of the show.
No, man, I'm chilling, bro. I love this. This is awesome.
All right. Well, we are gonna go live on our Spanish show in a couple minutes, so I wanted to give you guys a chance to plug your stuff. You guys are one of my favorite shows, so go ahead and plug your stuff so everybody else knows where to find you.
No, you guys can find us at the Inter Miami Show on YouTube. We're on social media. You can generally find us, Danny watermarking our photos for us and things like that. But no, like everybody who listens to our show knows, like we have nothing but respect for you guys, and it's fun banter between the two shows. And I know sometimes we get some comments like thinking like the beef is real, but there really is no beef. It's just guys talking shit, enjoying the team, and having a good time.
And if you haven't already, please like the show. If you haven't already, that really helps us out. Mike.
No,
Any
man, it's
final
been
words?
fun. I'm glad we finally got to do. No, well, you guys told me to shut up for a while, so I shut up for a while. No, I'm glad we finally got to do
3
this.
minutes?
Hey, longest 3
better
minutes of
than-
my life. It's what my wife always says. Listen, no, this was fun. I can't wait. We're gonna do this at the end, hopefully, when we got a lot of time at the season's over in the winter. Let's do this again. And at the end of the day, like let's win this off. I don't care if it's Tata or anyone. It could be Neville at this point. Like, let's win this season. Let's win. Let's get the star on the bat. All that matters is a star on the jersey. Let's get that star and finish the season strong.
And if you haven't already, I'm putting the link in the chat for the Spanish show that's going to start in maybe like 5 minutes or so. So go ahead and click on that if you want to join us. And don't forget to plug your ladies.
Oh yeah.
So we launched the so for those who don't know, that if you don't know, you now definitely don't drive down 595. Fort Lauderdale United, the women's pro soccer team, just had their first match a week and a half ago. We also are covering that show. Super exciting team. Team's actually sold their first player. They've only played one match, actually turned around and sold a player already. So big things happening with that squad. They'll be playing full-time in Broward. They will not be abandoning Broward for North Cuba. And yeah, no, we're super excited, and we'll be covering that. So FTLUnited show.com and at FTL United Show.
And when Don the Gone Garber brings a women's team to Miami, we'll be sure to do a show about them, and then we'll be about that also.
My theory is he'll buy the teams. It's just simpler that way.
I think so too.
Chris, any final words?
Nah, man, I'm ready to talk some Espanol in this mother effer.
Okay, all right. So, for those of you that are in the chat, again, we appreciate you hanging out with us. If you haven't already, please hit the like button. And then I'm putting on that link to the Bright shirt just one more time, just in case anybody wants to grab that. If you are listening on audio, we appreciate you listening all the way to the end. Please leave us 5 stars, comment, review, all of the good stuff. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you for watching all the way to the end. Please like, subscribe, share, tell your friends. As always, you guys in the chat are the best part of the show. We appreciate you hanging out with us for the last hour and 3 minutes. And we'll be back tomorrow. Chris will be back, and we'll be talking. Well, who knows what we'll be talking. But we'll be back tomorrow. And until the next one, which will be in a couple minutes, have a good one. Ooh.